Hello dear learners, welcome to the second session on explanation of the poem Of Mothers Among Other Things. The poem Of Mothers Among Other Things is written by A.K. Ramanujan. Now we have already learnt about A.K. Ramanujan in the previous session. So now we will look at the detailed discussion of the poem. The poem in an outline. The poem contains 5 quatrains. A quatrain is a stanza of 4 lines. In the first 2 stanzas of the poem, the poet portrays the youthful beauty of his mother. The poet remembers her as young, soft, bright and beautiful and full of zest towards life. In the next 2 stanzas, the poet portrays his mother's old age and he depicts how the passage of time has brought about changes in her. Here she is pictured as feeble, weak, ugly and less capable. The last stanza depicts the poet's sorrow at the current state of his mother. And the poet was moved at his mother's commitment and responsibility towards her life. Now let's look at what an imagery is. Imagery is one of the poetic devices which is employed by the poets while writing the poems. Here imagery is understood as a visible representation of objects. An image is a synonym for picture. An image is a representation of something or someone or an idea and is used to draw the readers into a sensory experience. The images often provide us with pictures that appeal to our senses of sight, sound, taste, touch and smell. Here is an example. The autumn leaves are a blanket on the ground. Here the writer has used the image of blanket to explain how the fallen autumn leaves look like on the ground. In the same way, here in the poem we get to see many images used by the poet to describe his mother. The poet starts like this. I smell upon this twisted blackthorn tree the silk and white petal of my mother's youth. Here the word smell is understood as remember. The poet remembered upon seeing that twisted blackthorn tree the youthful beauty of his mother. The poet begins the poem with the contrasting images of blackthorn tree, which represents the old, wrinkled and twisted and thin structure of his mother, and the image of silk and white petal, which is symbolic of his mother's soft and youthful beauty. The poet draws a parallel comparison between blackthorn tree and his mother. At the time of writing the poem, the poet's mother was an old and feeble woman. The image of blackthorn tree brings the picture of his mother's dark and wrinkled skin, which looked like the bark of the tree, and her thin and skeleton structure resembled the twisted tree. The poet contrasts his mother's old age with her youthful beauty with an image of silk and white petal. While looking at the blackthorn tree, the poet was reminded of the glory of his mother's youth. Her beauty is compared with the silk and white petal, which represents the softness and flower-like beauty of his mother. By using these contrasting images of blackthorn tree and silk and white petal, the poet indicatively tells that her beauty is faded and strength is weakened, and she has lost her vitality with the passage of time. Now she is no longer beautiful, she is weak and frail with the twisted structure. But still, the poet can remember his mother's charm and beauty of her youthful days. From her earrings, 3 diamonds splash a handful of needles. In these lines, the poet uses another image of sparkling earrings, 3 diamonds, to bring out the fact that her mother's youthful beauty was vibrant and it sparkled with energy and enthusiasm. The image also indicates how her shining or radiating beauty has diminished with the passage of time. Here, the sparkle of the diamond studded in her earrings is compared to needles being splashed. The phrase splash a handful of needles can also be understood as the bright and sparkling needle like rays of a diamond that his mother was wearing in her youthful days. The metaphor pictures his mother, as bright, beautiful, and lively like splashes of light of the diamond. And I see my mother run back from rain to the crying cradle. These lines speak of his mother's dutiful nature. Like any mother, she too gave more priority to her children over other household works. She ran back from rain to attend to them, leaving behind the other works that she was engaged with, probably in the field or outside the house. The phrase run back from rain indicates how she performed her duty of caring the children without even minding to come in the rain for attending the crying babies. The phrase crying cradles means crying babies in the cradle. These lines picture the poet's mother as an energetic and responsible mother caring her babies. The rains stack and sew with broken threads the racks of the tree tasseled light. Here the poet has used the image of rain to indicate the unifying efforts of his mother in keeping everything together. The falling raindrops look like the broken threads used for tacking and sewing while stitching a cloth. The rain which was fallen through the patches or the open spaces which are not covered with leaves and branches on the tree, they appear to be stitching those patches with its broken lines or threads. When the light passes through the trees and falls on the droplets lined up on the leaves left by the rain, it makes the droplets look like tassels and they appear decorative in the sunlight. Here, the poet has employed the image of rain as a symbolic of hard times or troubles that his mother had to face in her life. The phrase tack and sew is used as a metaphor for his mother's efforts at keeping everything together despite the difficulties she underwent. The stitches are used to bring the racks together. In the same way, his mother managed everything enigmatically to keep things from falling apart. The image also pictures his mother as a unifying factor that determinedly got everything together in the face of adversity. But at two hands I wet eagle's two black pink crinkled feet. Here the poet has employed the image of a wet eagle and its two black pink crinkled feet to indicate the reduced strength of his mother and the changes which are brought in her appearance due to her old age. Like a wet eagle which cannot fly high in the sky, his mother's strength too has been weakened because of aging. The poet compares her old wrinkled hands to two black pink crinkled feet of an eagle to show how the soft and fleshy appearance of her mother's youthful hands have been transformed into black and wrinkled hands. Her hands are shrunk and wrinkled with curled fingers. Here, her hands stand for the hard work that she had put to her family. One talon crippled in a garden, trap set for a mouse. Here again, the poet compares his mother's hands to an eagle's talon or claw to introduce a shift in his mother's abilities. One of her fingers has been crippled by a rat trap, a handicap indicating lessening of efficiency as she got older. His mother's capable hands, which had done so much work in the past, are no longer strong now. Her saris do not cling, they hang, loose feather of a one-time wing. In these lines, the poet gives us an image of his shrunken mother who has lost all her charm and beauty. Now she is frail and her physical form has shrunk, and saris do not cling to her as they used to in the past, but they just hang loose on her body. Her frail and weakness is denoted by the metaphor feather of a one-time wing. Now she has been a loosened feather which cannot cling on to the wing to be able to fly. Now she has lost her vigor and vitality. My cold parchment tongue licks bark in the mouth when I see her four still sensible fingers slowly flex to pick a grain of rice from the kitchen floor. In this stanza, we get the image of the poet's mother in the state of being weak and feeble, but still performing her duty, but still in charge of the affairs of the house. The poet feels numb and helpless as he sees his mother, now old and frail, trying to pick up the grain of rice with great difficulty. The poet looks at her and was moved to see her being committed to her duties even in her old age. The poet becomes very emotional and feels as if his tongue becomes dry, rough and stiff like parchment, and feels as if it is licking a rough, dry bark of a tree. The roughness and dryness of his mouth indicate that he is filled with sorrow and feels helpless, for he could do nothing about the changes that have come about in his mother. Perhaps the poet might also be feeling remorse for not being able to recognize her selfless service and not being able to be appreciative of all the things that she did for them. Now, let's look at what that poem is all about. The poem is an illustration of age and commitment of the poet's mother shown through the imagery of nature. The poem portrays a vivid picture of his mother and traces a transition from youthful beauty to feeble old age. The poet uses many images and words that evoke the senses and contrasts our youth with our present state of being old. The poet also pictures the life of his mother as a symbol of sacrifice, service, and commitment to her family. And he pictures the spirit of his mother and her zest for life even at the old age. The poet tries to drive home the fact that the life of a typical Indian mother is a life of selfless dedication and full of hardships. Now let's recapitulate what we have learned so far. The poem Of Mothers, among other things, written by A.K. Ramanujan, is a vibrant portrait of the poet's mother and the way she has moved through the world. The first part of the poem deals with the youth of the poet's mother. The poet says that he smells like silk and white. He smells silk and white petal of his mother's youth upon this twisted blackthorn tree. Smelling upon here means remembering. And twisted blackthorn tree here refers to the present condition of the poet's mother, who is probably bent now because of her old age, like an old tree with a bent stem. And silk and white petal depict the softness and beauty of his mother in her youth. Next, the poet says that during her youthful days, there were beautiful diamond earrings in her ears, which would splash, that is sparkle, a handful of needles. Here, again, the poet is describing the beauty of his mother Colorful rays reflecting from the earrings depicts the glow that poet's mother had. The second part deals with the next phase of the poet's mother, her middle age, that is her middle age. The poet says that the rain tapped and sowed the racks of the tree with broken threads of tasseled light to indicate his mother's efforts of keeping the family together. And however, her hands were like a wet eagle's two black pink wrinkled feet. Here he compares his mother's hand to a wet eagle's two black pink wrinkled feet. Crinkled means rough and having creases. These words indicate the weakened strength and look of the poet's mother. Next, the poet says that one talent, that is talent here, the claw of the eagle, and the talent is compared to, her fingers are compared to the talons of the eagle. Of his mother's, they are crippled in a garden, traps set for mouse. Here the poet is telling that the poet's mother is no longer able to work efficiently like earlier because of her old age. Finally, the poet describes the weakness of his mother. According to him, the saris of his mother do not cling and rather hang like the loose feather of a one-time wing. Here also the poet is trying to say that his mother is no longer strong and beautiful like how she was earlier in her youthful days. The final part of the poem describes the last phase of the poet's mother, that is her old age. The poet says that his cold and parchment tongue licks bark in her mouth while seeing her four sensible fingers trying to pick up a grain of rice from the kitchen floor. This depicts the way the poet feels about his mother. He feels sad and helpless. This part, the last part, holds the theme of the poem, that is, the way the poet is feeling sad and remorse for not being able to recognize her selfless service and not being able to be appreciative of all the things that she did in her life. Thank you.